Good morning. I'm John Hagen. I'd like to thank FCI for inviting me in to share with you today on my topic, interactive journaling within Canvas, meant to boost reflection and engagement with our students. I have a twofold objective this morning. One is to make the conceptual argument for why interactive journaling could be so useful in the online learning environment. And then the second is more practical. How do you do that? How do you do interactive journaling using the Canvas platform? So that's what I'll be speaking about here. A little bit about myself before I begin. I've been teaching here at Park University for about 5 years in the Masters of Education program for Organizational and Adult Learning. I teach the program planning course, and then I also teach the capstone course at the very end. In addition to that, I teach for the Air Force and their graduate level studies at the Staff College. That's also online. I teach the International Security Studies course for them. I've taught in residence, I've taught online, and I enjoy online teaching. I enjoy the freedom and the flexibility it provides both instructors and students. I also like the fact that we're not constrained to a classroom. That really opens up much more of the world to our students. They're thinking more from where they're at versus a physical classroom. And the same for us as instructors. That said, I do think online learning presents some real challenges. And I think the biggest one for me is that learning is a social activity. We learn from each other. And I think often with the online programs, particularly with our 8-week courses, there's just limited touch points that we have with students to engage with them. Not on did they learn the material, but what do they think about the material? Have those discussions with them about their thoughts and their perspectives, and then to also share our own perspectives, not from here's what the instructor wants us to know for the test, but just here's what the instructor thinks about the material themselves. So that's why I appreciate interactive journaling. I think it provides that more social, personalized approach to the learning. So when I'm thinking about interactive journaling, how am I using this term? A lot of you might already use journals. Journaling is quite common. Maybe every other week the students answer a couple questions in their journals, and you sample those, kind of a summative assessment, seeing what the students wrote, maybe writing your own comments in that. What I like about interactive journaling in the online format is there's more opportunity for discourse than just student reflection, instructor comment, which we would do on an essay as well. Here, with the interactive journaling techniques and the tools that we have with Canvas, we can actually allow comments and comments upon the comments and build a discourse of discussion going on. You know, in an 8-week course like the ones I teach for the Air Force or for Park University, we are so focused on getting through the material so quickly. Did the students master the concepts? Did they master the concepts? We never get that chance to really have that discussion. What does it mean to them? And I think the journal provides, I guess the analogy I'd use is like the second line in New Orleans music. That other line of music that's going on in addition to the main line. And in that, having that parallel discussion about how students feel about the material, I think it allows them to explore it more deeply and to be more curious. So I have two objectives when it comes to interactive journaling with my courses. First of all, I'm really trying to promote affective learning, not the cognitive. We have so many good tools for developing cognitive learning already, but I want to help students explore and consider their own values on what they're learning, their own perspectives of what does it mean and what its relevance is. And that's where I think the journal is most useful. The other is I want to provide them with a usable artifact. I teach that capstone course for the masters, as I said, for here at Park. And I'm always asking the students, well, what did you learn from previous courses? What can you bring up? And so I'm very mindful of the value of portfolios and journals, these enduring artifacts, these physical documents that the students can draw upon from their past experiences, and they can also reflect upon what they've learned. You know, the journal structure online with Canvas isn't that much different than discussion posts, but the key is in the execution and the style. With a discussion post, I'm usually trying to get the students to demonstrate their understanding, their ability to apply the concepts, to make an argument, and using so many references to do that. That is not what I'm trying to do with the journal. With the journal, I'm trying to get them explore their ideas, take some risks, consider ideas. And so my questions are going to be very different. The journal, just like a discussion post, has questions. With my journals, I've set up the questions ahead of time in a template to guide them. If I just gave the students a blank journal and said, well, what do you think about the material? I'd get some pretty superficial and topical responses. So I use these journal questions in the template to get the students to really dig in and reflect on their own thoughts and values on what they're learning here. Along with that, I use a lot of thematic imaging. I think, well, I am a visual learner, so I like seeing pictures. I like thinking, well, what does that picture mean? How does that relate to what we're learning? So the interactive journal allows you not just to use images, but connect video links, music, poetry. It's a journal, and it's meant to be more creative than just a standard discussion post. With that, I also encourage the students to invite their peers in to share their ideas. And to that center point, the comments are the most critical part of the journal. The students respond, they provide their reflections in the journal. We can comment on those. They can comment on our comments. Other students can comment on our comments. And that is where we get that discourse that I'm looking for through the journal. And then finally, this reference list at the very bottom. I hope the students are reading all the material, but I want them to move beyond that and to consider, what does that material from the week or from the course, how does that connect to what they're seeing in other courses, what they're reading in newspapers or in journals online, or if they go out and explore the topic themselves, what are they finding? So I'll show you my reference list that I build into the journal. At the end, hopefully they have almost an annotated bibliography of the course that's personalized to them. So how do I assess the journal? Its value is intrinsic in terms of helping the students understand their own feelings about the course material. But our students are conditioned to extrinsic markers such as grades and rubrics. So I do have to grade them, or they're just, that's the proxy that tells them this is an important, this is an expected exercise. So I'm trying to use my rubrics to encourage student reflection. I'm not so much looking for the correct book answers. If there's a factually incorrect statement within a journal, I'll fix that with the comment within the journal. That's where I'll address that. But when I come to the rubric, I'm trying to encourage them to make those risky statements, not to make factually wrong statements, but to kind of explore the material themselves. So I'm just looking at, are they engaging with it? Are they demonstrating personal growth and exploration? And I do encourage, because it is an artifact that I want them to be able to use in the future, that the writing structure be coherent. So they could go back and understand what they wrote maybe 2 years ago. So there is a small component of the rubric for the writing structure. So let me show you the journal. This is kind of the conceptual stuff. Let me jump over to my Canvas page and show you what an example of what I've been doing. And I'm going to shrink my head here so I'm not right in your way. There we go. All right. So I use the collaborations tab on Canvas. Before the course begins, I set up, once I have all the students loaded into the course, I set up an individual collaboration with each student. Now you can do this using Google Docs. You can use this using Microsoft Word. I prefer the Google Docs myself, just because for the students it's very easy for them just to share that into their own personal Google Drive as well. But this is set up in advance. And then when the students go into the course itself, because I do want to use SpeedGrader for grading it, I set up a discussion page for each week entitled, this case, Week 1 Interactive Journal. And they get to that, they can go straight to that collaboration link there. In this document itself, or in this discussion page, the only thing they're going to reply right here is a reply of, hey, I completed my journal entry for the week. And that just allows me then to go and use SpeedGrader to go ahead and grade their journals. So there would be two documents open. There'd be the, when I'm grading them, there'd be the SpeedGrader with the rubric, and I'll go over this rubric in the document, in the journal in a minute. But this standard rubric for Canvas, and then I'd have the journal itself open. Let me show you what the journal looks like. This is for ED 542 is my example one for you here. It is the program planning course for program planning for adults. At the beginning, I provide a kind of the guidelines for the journal. I will have gone over this in week 1, but we tell it and then we share it and then we have them read about it. So hopefully they internalize the intentions of the journal. I also provide them the rubric here again, emphasizing I'm looking for their reflection on the content more. That's the primary purpose. Their personal growth, what does this mean to them? How does this affect their values? And then the writing quality, a small percentage, 10%. In this one also, I actually broke out the references a separate rubric, and I'll show you how that shows up in my journal. But I am looking for what outside reading and consideration they've been giving to the content. Why I like using Google Docs, I had mentioned this before, is it has this very handy reference index on the side that you've linked to the headings in the document itself. So I don't have to scroll down. I can just click to whatever week I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at week 1, here's the template. The students fill it in by the question. When I want to comment, I just comment on the side. I'm sure this is not anything new for anyone. But the good thing is it's very familiar. It's familiar to us. It's familiar to the students. It's not a new technology they have to learn. The other part is this imaging. I do like to put topical images at the top of each week's journal just to kind of get the students thinking, inspiring. I might use poetry. I've used links to songs from Hamilton for a couple courses. One thing with Google Docs, be aware of as a instructor, if you set it up through Canvas, it's being run through your Google document, your Google Drive, which has a limited amount of memory. I mean, not restrictive, but encourage students, if they're putting videos or links to YouTube, better to put the link up than to try to load the video in here, is what I'm trying to say. So for each week, this 8-week course, there's the questions already preset. I allow the students to see these in advance. No reason, I don't see why they shouldn't, if they want to look ahead and see what they're going to be considering. And at the very end, bottom of the journal, every week they're expected to provide 1 or 2 references of material, not the course material, but other stuff they've read that's relevant to that week's topic. I do ask for it in APA format, the reference, just so that they have that readily accessible when they need it in the future. But what I'm really caring about is their personal notes of how do this material connect to what they were studying that week in the topic, or what is the value for this reference that they in the future would want. I remind them this is more for them than it is for me. 2 years from now, if they're looking for references, they've already given themselves an annotated bibliography to take away. And by the end of week 8, they'll have 16 to 24 pretty credible sources. And I can comment on these as well. So this is why I like using this format here. To conclude, let me go back here. Big things for me, making sure I'm giving ownership of the journal to the students. At the end of the day, this is going to be their product for their use. So anytime I can kind of shift it to them in terms of allowing them to use whatever format medium they want to use within the journal, I do that. And just that reminder of take this with you. Before the course ends and closes out, make sure you've saved that document on your own computer. The other is the sharing of the ideas between the students and the instructors. Definitely get the students' permission ahead of time to do this, but if I've read something particularly compelling in one student's journal, I don't see any reason I wouldn't want to share it with another student. Say, hey, you should talk to Joe Smith. He was writing on the same thing. He had some really interesting thoughts on this idea. And the more we can get them collaborating with each other, the better. And the final thing is those open questions that encourage curiosity and risk-taking. Again, I'm not grading them on a book answer. What I'm trying to do is get them to really test out ideas and explore them and what they think about them. So those journal questions are set to that. Hey, I appreciate your time. I might be over a little on my 10 minutes here, but I appreciate your time. My email address is below. If you have questions or comments, I'm still developing this product. So some of you, I'm hoping some of you have been doing this for a while, and you actually might have more ideas you could share on this, because I really do value that ability to have that more engagement, more social engagement with the students talking about the course material. So again, thank you very much for your time, and thank you, FCI. Bye-bye now.